Typical millennial playing on her phone instead of working.
Well, joke's on you, Luddites. I'm building an app on my phone, and I don't even know how to code because I don't have to. Wait, am I even a millennial? What am I?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Vice President of DevOps for ServiceNow, Pat Casey.
All right. So welcome, everybody, to the Day 3 keynote here at Knowledge 19. This is the platform keynote. And traditionally, we run this one last in the batting order, so I'm used to being kind of last. But this year, we had 5 keynotes instead of 3, so I was a little worried we wouldn't have an audience. But I do want to thank you all for coming, because we do. I appreciate you being here. One of the things we know from some statistics we do, because you guys fill in surveys for us, is that about half of you, this is the first time you've been to a platform keynote, so you don't necessarily know what to expect. And about half of you are returning, so you've been here before, you kind of know. So I thought this would be a good time for me to spend some time explaining a little bit what to expect here. And I'll start by defining something that we talk about a lot, but we don't often take the time to explain. And that's this thing called the ServiceNow platform. At a high level, the platform is really simple. It's just the software and the services that everybody uses to build apps on top of. So everything we've shown you in the show up to now, everything that CJ showed you, that John showed you, that the whole team showed you, is built on top of a ServiceNow platform. End of the day, it's all the services that application developers use. It's a UI, it's notifications, it's approvals, it's assignments, persistence, all these pieces, parts that you need to build an application. That's what the platform provides. And today's show is really aimed at talking about the enhancements we've made there. And if you've done these before, you know that this is generally the technology-focused keynote we have here. And that's what we're going to focus on. We're really going to talk about the platform as a technology stack. We're going to spend about the first 2/3 of the time here very much talking about new platform features, some exciting new stuff we've done, and the tech. And the last third, we're going to get a little practical. We're going to talk about what customers are doing with the platform. We'll talk about some of the applications, classes, and categories that make sense, and then we'll bring some real customers up to show you some of the cool stuff they've built. So you get kind of theory for 2/3, practice for 1/3. That's how we're breaking things up for you. Pivoting back to the tech, though, I wanted to frame this a little bit for you, and I'll let you in on a not very secret secret. The stuff you're seeing on stage here, it's not stuff that we put together in the backstage the minute before the show. These kinds of large-scale projects, they take time, they take planning, they take engineering effort. And so a lot of the stuff you see here, we planned out about a year ago. And as part of the planning process, we really had to have a North Star, something that we were aiming for. And we started with something pretty simple. You know, last year, John came out, and he really planted a flag. And what John's flag said is that we wanted to change the world of work. We wanted to make the world of work better for people. So one of the things that I did is I went and I talked to a lot of you, a lot of customers, and I got feedback and said, well, hey, how is that working for you? What's the world of work like in this day and age? How can we help you change it? And I heard a couple of themes coming from your folks that are things we could do to make the platform better, to really help you deliver on this promise. And I'll start with one that I heard pretty universally, and there's really no polite way to say this, but a lot of you came to me and said, hey, enterprise applications, nobody likes them. They're not fun to use. They're not cool. If I go to my end users and offer them a piece of enterprise software, they don't have a party for me. They kind of cringe. That's fundamentally the problem. And then inevitably, there's some smart person who says, well, just make it like Uber. Why doesn't the enterprise work like Uber? That'll be easy. And of course, then you probably do what I do. You do one of these little, like Jean-Luc Picard face palms, and you go, well, it's not that simple. The enterprise world's a bit more complicated than that. I do think, though, there's a germ of validity in that critique, though. There's a truth there, and I want to dig at that a little. End of the day, when you're at work, there's really two different kinds of things that you do. There's the things you do that are probably on your job description. It is the thing that you primarily are paid to do. So if you're in finance, you probably do a lot of work in Excel. If you're in a creative profession, it's probably an Adobe tool. You know, for me, I was an engineer for about 20 years. I lived in an IDE. You know, I still have muscle memory on a lot of the shortcuts in Eclipse. You know, Control-Shift-R, Control-Shift-T. I will go to my grave knowing that. And for those types of destination tools, you know, we as an industry have really done a pretty good job. We have been able to provide tools which make an expert even better. They're productivity tools for people who are willing and able to take the time to learn them. And for that class of tools, I think we as industry, as I said, have done a good job. There's a set of other things that you do at work where you're not doing your primary job function, though. In this class of applications, you're really a consumer of a business process of your company. So when I take my anti-corruption training and learn not to bribe people, especially in England, you know, I'm a consumer of legal's process. Don't bribe people in England, pro tip. Bad idea. When I fill out my expense reports, I'm a consumer of that process. There's a variety of things that we all do at work where we really are consumers. And for that use case, we really do need to provide those kind of consumer-grade applications John has been talking about and we all have been talking about. So we want to show you how we're going to help you move from this kind of legacy application world into a world of modern applications. So we can change the way people work, not just for our fulfillment type tasks, not just for those back-end tasks, but for everyone in the company. We are going to bring that about. We're going to show you that in a few minutes. So that was the first blocker you guys raised for us. Second one, I want to talk about a bit of a problem of success, and that is scale. Wow, I think my voice just changed. As you start putting more and more work, you digitize more and more stuff, less and less paper, more and more things make it into your ServiceNow instance. I'm hearing two big themes out of the field, things that you guys need. One is you want to just get more and more data into your ServiceNow instance. Instead of millions of records, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of records. And the second thing I hear pretty consistently is a lot of the big companies are saying, hey, look, we love the single ServiceNow data model. We love the single instance model. But hey, here in our company, there's reasons why we really want to run more than one production instance. It's just we've got a business reason that makes sense to us. Out of curiosity, who in the audience got asked to run more than one prod? I got some hands coming up. How many did it? I got like 2 guys. Congratulations. It's pretty hard, isn't it? We've made a big investment here on scaling really for 2 things. One was to help you scale up. We're going to show you some really exciting new technology about how to make really big ServiceNow instances run way faster than they have before. And second, we've added some new technology to help you run multiple production instances to do that kind of horizontal scale so that you can run that kind of model. Dramatically easier than you've been able to do before. We're going to show you that in just a few minutes. So we want to help you provide super scalable solutions inside the platform. Now, the third blocker you guys brought up, I'm going to get a little philosophical. If you look out in the software industry, there really is a big spectrum of the way vendors, you know, that's us, view kind of privacy and view your data. You know, on the one end, you have primarily consumer companies. And you know, you get the Facebooks, you've got choose your poison. In the consumer world, your data is sort of the commodity that that company uses. And I think in this day and age, we don't have a strong expectation of privacy on stuff there. On the other end, you have really people who sell to like regulated industries, like healthcare or the software that runs nuclear reactors. You don't even see the source code for that. There's a big spectrum. Traditionally, enterprise software, we live somewhere in the middle. You know, it's not a nuclear reactor control system, but we're not in the consumer world either. We, as a matter of principle, have always tried to stay really much closer to the reactor control side than the consumer side. That's where we want to be inside the enterprise software spectrum. That was really one of the things Fred valued early in the company. It stuck with us. It stuck with me. One thing that we're seeing, though, is that what you need to do from an implementation standpoint, it changes. The world of 2019 has different requirements and expectations around data privacy, data sovereignty, data encryption than the world of 2004. So we've made some really big investments in the platform to help you address those sorts of privacy and security concerns that I'm hearing out of you guys, that I'm hearing from your customers. So we want to really make sure that you can have extremely high security, extremely private data when you need it. Talk about that, though. I want to actually give a bit of an example here about one of these modern applications we've been talking about. And to do this, I'm going to talk a little about something that happens in my personal life. See, I have a son, and I take him to karate on the weekends. And his karate studio is about a half hour from my house, and his karate lasts for an hour. So I got an hour to kill up by his karate studio. And I will typically go to a name brand coffee shop, which shall remain nameless, where I'll get a cup of coffee. And at some level, this would be a great place to get some work done. I've got an hour, not too much is going on. In the consumer world, you would say, well, this is awesome. Because in the consumer world, there's sort of a holy trinity you look for in applications. You want an application that lets you run where you want, when you want, and how you want. Well, I'm pretty constrained here. My where is this name brand coffee shop. My when is right now. And my how, I mean, I got a coffee in one hand, I got a phone. These are my options. So this is the problem I'm having. But let's see if we can get some work done despite these constraints here. And actually, hang on. I don't think CJ realizes I'm on stage. He's asking me. I'm on stage, dude. All right. Let me see if he needs here. Let's see if we can do this together. He actually wants some data for a presentation. Can we go ahead and put this up on? All right. Hey, Siri, can you launch ServiceNow? All right, that was pretty cool. I think we saw that earlier. That's a Siri shortcut. We went ahead and launched that. Didn't have to use my hand. That was pretty convenient. He actually wants some data on some Japanese customer data. Let's try this. Can I get all the incidents from Japanese customers opened in the last 90 days, broken down by category? Let's see if we can do that. Look at that. It actually put the data together. We got my report for CJ. Now, normally I would text this to him because CJ is a texter, but I will probably email it to him now because I know he needs it for a report. Let's go ahead and send that as an email. We'll go ahead and send that out. So that was easy, right? We actually worked very simply.
I got to interrupt here. I'm really sorry, Pat. That wasn't easy at all. That experience was easy for Pat, but if you go back to what John talked about on day one, there's this iceberg, and that tip, yeah, it's great for the end user, for that consumer-grade experience, but below the surface, there's a lot going on. And we've invested a lot in new innovative platform technologies that you need to really deliver that consumer-grade experience at that tip of that iceberg. And that's really what today's about. That's what we want to talk to you about, is the new technologies that we've made available in the platform so that you can get those consumer-grade experiences to your users. And I'm really excited to have today with us a key engineering leader. She's going to take us behind the curtains and show us how this works. We're going to do some demos for you. And hopefully we have some fun here, too. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Wendy Lee.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. I'm Wendy, the Senior Director of Emerging Interfaces team. My team is responsible for mobile platform and the virtual agent, two of the key components behind the many demos you have seen so far. In Knowledge 18, in the context of technology, I shared a story about my daughter. You told me you like it. This year, you get to know my son. Pat just showed you how easy his work life is. We want you to feel the same. In the next few minutes, we will show you a number of emerging technologies. You can watch how we put the pieces together and bring you the simple, modern experience to your business application.
Wow, Wendy, awesome. All right, so there's a lot of technology that we could talk about, but in that demo that you just saw with Pat, there was really 4 key enabling technologies that we think are super important to deliver those consumer-grade experiences to your users, and we want to talk to you about those today here. So if we just kind of deconstruct that demo that we just saw, Pat took out his phone and he started talking to it, and it opened right into a ServiceNow application. That's Siri shortcuts. And you might have seen that on day 1 or day 2 or just right now, but how does it really work? And so we want to show you that. Pat started talking to his phone and was just asking for information, and he got a report. There's really multiple types of AI technology that are going on there. There's speech recognition, what we call voice to text, and there's actually multiple AI technologies that we've added to the platform that deal with parsing and understanding text, really just bringing that human-centric capability to the user. And then the last part, we have a technology that you can use right now, and it's really about kind of closing the loop here, automating that end-to-end flow. And Pat generated a report, and he shared it with CJ. And we have technology that you can use to automate common tasks, and it's available on your phone. So let's get started here. So when Pat took out his phone, he asked to open up a ServiceNow virtual agent, and that's Siri shortcuts. So Wendy, can you show us what's really going on there, and how can people use that technology?
Sure, let me explain. Shortcuts are quick actions. Each shortcut performs a task within the app. It lets you use voice command to jump to a specific screen of the mobile app. We enable this feature by integrating Siri shortcut right into ServiceNow mobile app. We have Mark backstage. He's helping us operate this demo. Mark has already opened the homepage of mobile employee application, which was announced by CJ on Tuesday. Now let's click the setting on bottom right corner, choose Siri shortcuts. You will see a list of page action that you can add to the shortcuts. Let's use Open Virtual Agent. Press the red button to record voice phrase. Pat used Launch ServiceNow on his phone. Once you complete, close the page. Pretty straightforward.
That's awesome. So look, what you just saw there was a couple things that you might not have seen in other keynotes. Number one, we have multiple ways to invoke Siri shortcuts. And you can create and customize your own phrases. And it's really, really simple. This is really going to streamline the day of work for your users. And it's just fun, right? It's just fun to use this kind of voice technology. So that's obviously why we're really excited to bring this capability to our users, for you, to really enable these really modern consumer-grade experiences. This is going to be launching in New York in our new Now mobile application. So this is going to be coming this year, obviously. So the next part was Pat was actually talking to his phone, and he wasn't typing anything. What's going on there?
Yeah. Once the app opened using Siri shortcut, Pat started talking his phone. He didn't have to type anything. It is actually pretty simple to handle this. Because the Now platform provides a native mobile app, we have access to all the native device capabilities, like speech recognition. When the phone takes a voice input, the built-in SDK, like Google Assistant or Apple Siri, will convert the voice to the text.
All right, so we've got this voice-to-text, the speech recognition capability built into our applications in the enterprise, from IT to HR to customer service. But what's really unique about our platform is you can build custom applications. And when you do that, this is also available to your custom app. So to keep it a little lighter today, what we're going to do is we got a custom application that we built. So let's do some demos on that custom app. And we have an app to manage a llama farm. So we're going to do some demos here on managing a llama farm, some common tasks that you might do if you owned a llama farm. So Wendy, what's the first thing that you can show us voice to text?
Sure. So one of the most common tasks on our llama farm is purchasing a llama. I'm going to demo the voice-to-text capability for this. But wait a minute. Do you really think the phone can understand my accent? Should I even try?
You should try. Let's try.
OK.
Try.
It seems Mark already has it set up. It's good to go. I needed to order llama. Wow, it worked. That made my day.
That's great. So look, what you're seeing here is kind of our strategy with voice. We're going to go ahead and ride the innovation curve of other companies that are investing significant resources in speech recognition. We're not doing that ourselves. We're going to integrate on this technology, and it's fantastic, as you can see. So Wendy, we have an app. We can talk to it. It listens, but it doesn't understand.
So Joe, are you really sure the app doesn't understand you, or it just tried to ignore you, just as my son often does to me? Talking about my son, his high school friends were really stressed out. So he tried to build an app to let his friends vent the frustration. There are two parts of his app. One is be able to listen, and one is being able to understand. But his app only went halfway. It was not able to understand. So he did a workaround. When the student made complaints, his app randomly picked a funny image, like the llama, to reply back. Honestly, I'm not sure if his app really achieved his goal, but his app did make my daughter laugh a lot at home. Does that sound familiar to you? Sometimes you got halfway and you only had a workaround. But with the ServiceNow, you don't have to use a workaround. We have a technology that understands the text.
So that was an awesome example. You have the listening part and the understanding part, and a lot of people fall down on that understanding part. With the ServiceNow platform, we've got both. And in the demo that you saw today, there's actually two types of AI technology that deal with understanding text. And we want to show you how both those work today. And the first one is called natural language understanding, and that's, again, about deriving meaning from text. And the next one that you saw when Pat ran that report, that's about generating a database query from unstructured text. So I think on the day 2 IT keynote, Matt Schwimmer, he talked a little bit about how natural language understanding works, but he's just a product manager, so he was a little, we want to show it ahead, as the engineering expert here, Wendy, I want you to show everyone really what's really going on, and can you show us how natural language understanding really works? Using a picture.
Sure. So will you bet a fair lady like me will do better job than the gentleman? Okay. So NLU technology uses algorithm to reduce the text into two parts, the intent and entity. The intent represents action, something a user wants to do. The entity represents the object of or the context for an action. So let's use a sentence of, I need to order llama as example. A speaker wants to order something. Order is the intent. But the speaker doesn't just want to order anything. A speaker wants very specifically to order a llama. So llama is entity. Sometimes a sentence can have multiple entities. For a huge variety of use cases, if you know the intent and you know the entities, you can get to the point of the conversation quickly and accurately. That is how ServiceNow brings efficiency, the productivity to your day-to-day work.
That's awesome. So that's a picture's worth 1,000 words, and hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit more context behind what we're talking about with natural language understanding. Now, we acquired an AI technology company named Parlo, and we've been integrating that into the platform. That's really how we got this technology. And as a part of that, we also created a codeless configuration tool that you can use to build your own language models. You can imagine ServiceNow, we don't ship out of the box language models for managing a llama farm, for example. You're going to have to build those on your own. So Wendy, can you show us what it looks like to build your own language model around managing a llama farm?
Sure. In this example, we will use our configuration tool to create a model to understand all the intent. Since out of the box, we don't ship workflow to purchase llama. So first thing we have to do is enter a bunch of sample sentences to train the model. Mark already opened the configuration tool. Let's stick with our example of ordering a llama. Let's choose order intent. Now let's add one more phrase. I want to give my son a Kriya as a gift.
Now everyone, a Kriya actually, I'm going to save you some Google searches. That's a baby llama. So it's just like an adult llama, but even cuter, even more adorable.
So yes, it's very cute llama. So let's label Kriya as entity llama. Now let's use a phrase as, I needed to order a llama to test the model. Wow. I get 95% accuracy for the intent and 100% accuracy for the entity. That's really good.
This is fantastic. So what we just saw there was using a codeless configuration tool to use AI technology on our platform. That's going to be available to you in the New York release. You don't have to be a data scientist. Everybody can use this technology. And when we talk about consumer grade, the tip of the iceberg, that's the experience you want to deliver to your users, to our users, and this is what you can use below the surface to enable that. Thank you. That wasn't the only AI technology that you saw in the demo today, though. There's actually another AI technology, and that was natural language query. And this is not something we've talked about in the show yet. Natural language query is really about taking text and converting it into a database report. Wendy, can you talk to us about how that works?
Sure. So let's use a question like, how many llamas have brown hair and weigh more than 20 pounds as example? So the NLQ parser first constructs the where clause by combining two terms with Boolean operator. The two terms are hair equal brown, weight greater than 20 pounds. Then the NLQ engine binds the from clause with import table entity. In this case, is a llama. The from clause and the where clause together form the SQL query that machine can understand. That is how NLQ takes a single voice as input, turns into query in order to generate the report.
That's an awesome example. So seems a little complex. You don't have to worry about this. This technology is just there for your users. And it's going to be available in the upcoming Orlando release, which we're really excited about. And we think people are just going to love this technology. And it's called Natural Language Query. Thanks again. OK, so we're going to try to wrap this up here. There was an end-to-end flow that we were trying to solve. Remember, Pat talked to his phone. He used this natural language query to generate a report, and then he sent it to CJ. And what we're seeing across the user base is in modern applications, we're seeing chatbots used to automate common tasks. And so we want to talk, and this is available right now since the London release for us, our virtual agent technology. And so what we're seeing you do with chatbots is, you can report issues, you can check the status of a case, maybe you want to run a report. And this is already being used today. So I guess the question really is, what's different? What did we really just see here that's different than what we've already seen, say, last year? And there's a couple things. One is we've got some intelligence in that virtual agent, so the conversations are even better. But the key part is it's embedded in our mobile app, so it's going to be available direct to your users. When you build a chat, you can use your mobile phone to access that anytime, anywhere. So we're really excited about that capability there.
Yes, that's exactly what we did for Pat, and we're going to show you right now. We create virtual agent topic that automates running report with natural language voice input. Mark already opened the topic that we used for Pat. Now, in this page, we associate topic with trained intent model. Let's choose generate report from the list of the intent. This is the step where we're adding NLU intelligence, the brain power to the virtual agent chatbot. Now, let's open the topic designer page. The start node is where the virtual agent mobile client listens to the voice, understand the meaning. The next two nodes are used for binding entities we get from the NLU to the variables. Our engineer has already written the script integration using these two variables. Mark, let's drag that in and drop to the flow. This is the step where the NLQ turns a single phrase into a query that machine can understand. When the topic was published, Pat was able to get a report with just one voice phrase. No service member was ever needed.
All right, so what we just saw there was a virtual agent topic. We call that a topic. And you automated that whole chat that Pat used to get that data set. And that technology is available right now. And in New York, we're making it available right on your phone for your end users as well. So this was a fun app to build, right?
Yes.
Wendy's team actually built this. It really put a smile on Pat's face. That doesn't happen very often when he used that app, by the way. And what did we really see here today, right? We saw Siri shortcuts, multiple types of AI technology that deal with speech recognition, understanding text, And then we saw chatbot, and we all saw that on mobile. So we're really excited about this. We think that we should lean in. We should be really aggressive. When we talk about changing how people work, we think this is what it looks like. And we think we've got the technology to do it. So I encourage everybody here, let's try to make that happen. And with that, we want to turn this back over to Pat Casey. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So I have to editorialize a little bit. There's this failure mode you run into as a technologist where you sort of run out of cool problems that you know how to solve. You got a technology stack, you've done a lot of stuff, and you're like, man, I'm scraping the barrel. It is fascinating how revitalized this engineering and product team is with some of the new technologies we're deploying now, with some of the new mobile technologies, some of the new workflow technologies. There's a whole new universe of problems that we feel excited to solve for you. And especially for things like this mobile, this is one of the few applications that I was able to take home and show my kids, and I impressed my kids. It's the failure mode of enterprise software. My kids don't know what I do. This one they got. And so these types of applications really give you an opportunity to go out to your end users, and they'll get it. They'll understand the value you're giving to them. So we're super excited about this, about bringing these modern apps to you. That was only the first of our blockers. I also mentioned we want to do something about helping to make sure that this platform continues to scale with you as you grow with it. So to talk to you a bit about that, I want to introduce Ronnie Hamdi and Steven Ko to talk you through that. So come on up, guys.
So thank you very much. My name's Ronnie Hamdi. I run the quality engineering organization here at ServiceNow. I'm also a service owner on what we're going to share with you guys today. We're going to show you a couple blockers, something that was really slowing me down with driving my organization and how we solved it.
And I'm Steven, and I run our performance testing and quality engineering team here. And if things run slow on our platform, I'm one of the first people that hears about it.
He is. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about scaling up, how we perform on really large data sets. And we're also going to talk about scaling out, how we manage our data across multiple production instances. But you're probably wondering if we could scale you during your digital transformation. We're going to show you a couple demos, and we're going to show you how it could be done. So I'm going to start on the scaling up piece. And to help me do that, I'm going to talk about a scaling problem I had here inside ServiceNow. And yeah, I know, I probably shouldn't be talking about a scaling problem running our own stuff, but I feel like I was really pushing the platform hard at scale front. So one of the things that my team does is we maintain the SDLC tools. And we create builds for each of our development branches, those tracks. And then we run automated tests against each of those builds every day. Now, to give you a sense of the scale behind that, we probably do 80 to 100 full builds against each of our development tracks. And then we run 50 to 100,000 unique automated tests against each of those builds. Now, that's 5 million tests a day. Now, if you start doing the math on that, day over day, month over month, that's hundreds of millions of tests. Now, span that over the year. Now we're talking about 1.8 billion tests that we execute, and then it flows into a ServiceNow instance.
All right, so 5 million tests executed every day. We're really proud of that from a quality standpoint. And that 1.8 billion tests being executed every year, we're also very proud of that. But what's the big deal about that number, Ronnie? Why should our customers care about that?
Well, you're right, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal until you want to run a report against that data.
Ah, okay.
So you guys all know, when you try to run a report that spans really big data sets or those big tables, it's going to run a little slow. Now, I know this because I run these reports every day. This is part of my job. I come into work and I look at these quality dashboards or these reports to see where we are with our development builds, where we are with the product testing. So rather than me talking about these reports or showing you these reports, Steven, can you show the audience what one of these reports that we look at?
Absolutely. So which report do we want to run here, though?
Can you run the report against our automated test results?
OK.
over the last 2 days,
All right.
and then stack it by failure type. And then this is the best part. Group it by dev manager.
Wait. Let me get this right. You want to run a report that shows test failures grouped by our dev managers, call them out on stage in front of all these people just to prove a point about slow running queries? Really? We're going to do that?
So if any of you guys know Steven, he's never had a hard time calling out a dev manager. I don't think this is the point where you should be holding back. This is your opportunity to call out all these dev managers. But I do got to warn you, watch your back when you get off the stage.
I'm probably going to lose a couple of friends here, right? But anything for quality. All right, so let's go ahead and just launch Ronnie's test failure report. Just launch it. And this is right around the time when Ronnie comes in the morning, and he probably goes and grabs his cup of coffee, because this is going to take a while. And wait. He probably doesn't grab his cup of coffee. Someone else grabs his coffee. You don't grab your coffee, right?
So he said he was going to try to crack some jokes. So just for the record, nobody grabbed my cup of coffee. I grabbed my own cup of coffee. Now, the real question here is, did you test this before we came on stage? Because this is actually running a little longer than I thought. And it's getting a little awkward up
Don't
here.
worry. The report is going to finish.
I don't know.
All right. Actually, it looks like it just completed. It took 28 seconds to run that report, though, Ronnie. That was a little painful.
Yeah, it was. It was. So, this is frustrating, because this is where I really do get up and go grab that cup of coffee, or I get pulled into a hallway conversation, or I might start attending my meetings. And I never got a chance to make the decision, assess those results. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out here that run similar reports. Those reports that might take 30 seconds, 40 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. Now, can you imagine if you could run these same reports and they're just run a lot faster? I mean, you get the results back, you can make those decisions within a matter of seconds. Now, we're going to show you how we could run the same report on our new database performance optimization. So, Steven, can you run the same exact report on our new technology?
All right, let's just jump right in and run the report. So kick it off. Let's see what happens. Wow. 3 seconds. All right, 3 seconds. You saw the earlier one, 28 seconds. That's pretty impressive. You have to make that business decision right now. The data is at your fingertips.
Well, hold on.
What?
Something's not right. I'm sorry, everyone. The last demo you did had 12 million test results that we're tracking.
That's right.
This is supposed to be the same exact report, and it's showing 140 million records. Now, I'm going to ask you again, did you test this?
I absolutely did test this, all right? And it passed my test with flying colors, all right? So what you're looking right now on this second report is we added 10 times the amount of data, all right? What we wanted to show is that we were scaling this up, and with really large data sets, this new optimization performs efficiently well. It's really amazing. Our engineering team did a really good job here.
That was an awesome hook on the demo. So we've had the opportunity to test this against some of the largest data sets that we have. As a matter of fact, we've modeled the largest CMDB, largest task customers, and then we increased it by 10 times. And when we did these side-by-side comparisons of the results, how long it takes to load, the results were looking very promising here.
All right, so let's give the people what they want. When can they get this into their hands?
So we're going to start rolling this out to our largest customer data sets starting New York. Now, I do want to make a point here. The way this technology is optimized, it's optimized for really large data sets and those complex queries. So the rest of the customers who are still scaling up, your data is still growing, this technology will be there for you guys to go and take advantage of. So you guys were able to see us, how we're able to scale up on a single production instance. Now, this takes me to the scaling out piece, how we're able to manage our data across multiple production instances. So there's going to be many situations why you would need to scale out. You might need a separate production instance for each of your business units, or it might be you're recently asked to set up a separate production instance because of some compliance reason or regulation. Here at ServiceNow, our development and quality engineering organization, we drive our SDLC processes on our own instance, an instance called DevOps.
That's right. So our DevOps instance is an innovation hub for us. It's the instance that we use to track our release process, right? We report on defects, we have stories, all these good things in there. At the same time, we have High, which is our customer service-facing instance. Most of you in the audience are probably already really familiar with that, all right? And that's the instance that you use to report on issues or impediments to your digital workflows, all right? Clearly, we need a way for information to flow seamlessly between these two instances. So how do we handle that here today, Ronnie?
So we have a way. We're doing it with a feature called instance data replication. It's part of our platform. So I got to warn you, when you try to demo data replicating between multiple instances on stage, it's not the world's most exciting demo. I'm sorry, Steven. The cool part of the demo, though, is when Steven goes up there and when he shows you how simple, how easy it is to set up those replication rules over the multiple instances. So, Steven, can you show the audience?
Absolutely. So we're going to demo 3 things here, OK? The first thing we're going to demo is a problem being created in High and then synced over into our DevOps instance. And then second, we're going to show you that defect being modified in our DevOps instance and then synced back over into High. And then finally, we're going to show you a simple configuration that makes this super easy to do using a producer and a consumer concept that I'll touch on in a little bit. All right? So let's just dive right into this demo. All right, so what we're looking at right now is an incident. And what we really want to do here is create a problem from this incident. All right? I'm the customer support team member, and I want to update this record so that we select it as a product defect. Right? And we're going to save that away, because we want to send this over to our DevOps instance so our engineering team can work on it. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's refresh this list here, all right, to see if our record made it in. And it looks like it has. All right? And what we want to do from here is we want to do a quick edit on this defect, and we want to update this record to mark it as fixed. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So now that it's fixed, because our engineering team is world-class, right, and I think I need to get some of those friends back,
you do.
We're going to go ahead and launch right back into High, and we're going to see if that record was updated. And it looks like it has been, right? That defect is now in a fixed state. So Ronnie, what we're witnessing there is information flowing seamlessly between these two instances, and that powers our workflow internally.
So there you go. That's 2 teams, 2 workflows, and 2 instances, both driving that single defect, both driving it to closure, while keeping both instances in sync real time, and keeping multiple teams, the development team, the quality engineering team, the support team, all up to date of where we are with driving that defect to closure. That was really cool. So, Steven, I know how we did this back in the day. We had to build out business rules, JavaScript, APIs, both on our DevOps instance and on our High instance. And then there's some people working full-time just to maintain this. How do we do it today?
Yeah, it was a good chunk of work to do that back in the day, but it's way easier to do this now, all right? And it's all built into our platform using simple configuration. I'm going to show you guys how to do that, all right? But before we jump into the demo, I wanted to come back on those 2 topics I mentioned earlier, that producer and the consumer. So what are those, all right? A producer creates business-critical content, and it broadcasts or replicates this content out using some rules. And a consumer can subscribe to that business-critical content to power their workflows, all right? This works very similar to like a streaming service. TV, music, I'm a Netflix guy. So I think we got those terms locked in. So let's go ahead and dive right into the demo. What we're looking at right now is the producer configuration page. And what we want to do here is create a new rule to generate a replication rule. So we're going to do that now. And since we've been talking about problems, we're going to go ahead and select that as our source table. And I think Matt Schwimmer from the Day 2 keynote has a couple problems that he needs to work on. So, I think we're still in tune there. All right, and we're going to key off a couple of fields here to replicate over. Right, we're going to take the short description, the state, the type, right, and we're going to save this away. Perfect. So what we just saw is a producer configuration rule being set up, and it literally just takes moments. All right? But what good is a producer configuration if you don't have the consumer? So let's show the other half of this equation. All right? So we created a template to make this really easy. So Mark, can you go ahead and load up that template for us? And we'll show the final state. All right. So we have a producer and a consumer, and these two instances are synced with each other. And this took moments on stage to make happen. And this powers our workflow internally, Ronnie.
All right. So instance data replication, it's what we're driving our internal development process today. And it's available in New York. So as it turns out, there's already customers out there already scaling out. It might be those managed service providers, or it might be your IT department that needs to break away from the core business because of some compliance reason or regulation. And they're able to continue to develop and produce to their audience without impacting the core business. So as you can see, using instance data replication is a simple and easy way to allow your company to scale out. So you guys saw two things today. You guys saw how we could manage those really large data sets, how we could assess them, how we could run reports, dashboards, using our database optimization technology. And then you guys also saw how we could drive that single defect or that single record on multiple production instances while keeping multiple teams and multiple instances all in sync using our instance data replication. Now, both of these are available in New York. And if you have any questions on how this will work for you, go check out the demo pods. I'm sure they'll love to answer any questions. Now back to Pat.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So, true story. In order to set up for this show, we had to set up a kind of copy of our DevOps instance, and Ronnie had to run all these reports, both with the old technology and with the new technology, because we wanted to get the timings right for you. And we actually had like a small crowd of engineers behind Ronnie, like just watching this, so fascinated. And there's about 3 different groups inside of ServiceNow who are all demanding to be the first internal pilot customer for this. You know, Chris Betty's asking for it for our internal systems, our DevOps people want it, and Ahai wants it. So it's been super exciting for us. Also wanted to point out the scale-out technology has been running internally for about 1.5 years. It's probably the single biggest thing I've heard from our large customers about wanting to solve that multiple instance problem. So we're really excited to make that available to you. So we talked about scaling up. Talked about scaling out. That was our second blocker. I want to talk about the third blocker we wanted to bring up for you, which is dealing with today's data privacy and data sovereignty concerns. So to talk to you about that, I want to bring up Mike Lentz and Priya Gopalan to talk to you about privacy. Come on up, guys.
Hi, Priya. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Lentz. I get to lead our service engineering organization. My team's responsible for innovations across our cloud products and services. This is the wonderful Priya Gopalan. She leads our infrastructure program management team, and her team helps drive the implementation of those products and services across our global infrastructure.
Wow, Mike. This is my first time on this stage. Are you still carrying your phone with you? Can we please take one of those famous ServiceNow selfies? I want to upload it and share it with my social network.
I run a cloud, so my phone is always on, yeah. All right, let's be quick, come on.
This is the coolest moment of my life.
All right.
I got it.
Okay. It's supposed to, there it is. It's a good picture, Priya.
Yeah, I love what you've done with your hair.
Thank you. I've taken the Matt Schwimmer Keynote look and made it actually look good. Thanks. All right. So Priya's going to take that photo, and she's going to upload it to her social media. That photo is going to get geotagged to this location, and by the time she and I step off stage, her feed's going to be full of all the really cool things to do here in Las Vegas. And we've heard the stories about how providers use or even sell your data, often without your knowledge. And if you think that problem's unique to the consumer world, think again. The exact same problem happens in the enterprise world as well. As Pat mentioned earlier, when we think about data protection, there's a really wide spectrum. On one end of that spectrum, we have the consumer world. It's really the Wild West out there. And on the other end of that spectrum, we have highly regulated implementations, and they're completely locked down. And in the middle, we have the world of enterprise cloud. And even within the world of enterprise cloud, providers have very different perspectives on how to protect your data. We at ServiceNow continue to be the industry leaders of data protection across the enterprise cloud space and are always staying one step ahead of the bad guys.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Meaning?
Well, let's let's have a little fun today. It's the last day of knowledge.
Sure. What do you have in mind?
All right, let's pretend that you're one of those providers out to do some bad things with my data.
OK. Can I just have a minute to get into character?
Yeah. I mean, you're running in heels, so this is fun to watch anyway.
OK, I'm ready.
Priya, I love the look, and I love that we're filming this whole thing so I can use it later. All right, Priya, let's say that you're one of those wicked providers, and I'm trusting my data in your cloud.
Look at all this interesting information. So much proprietary customer data and performance evaluation report of employees. And there you are, Mike.
Uh-oh.
Is that really your date of birth? Could have fooled me.
That's it, Priya. Shut it down. Stop using my data.
Sure, sure. But I have all this data, and I have your little dog, too.
All right. I think we get what's going on. And as the wicked provider transforms back into Priya, let's talk about what we just saw. Your data is gold. And providers have very different perspectives on how to protect your data. Often, enterprise providers will use your data for purposes other than the services that you subscribe to. That's not what we do here at ServiceNow. Your data is only used for purposes that you want. And that's not because we put that into contracts, but it's because we consider ourselves custodians of your data. And we always want to do more to protect your data.
That's absolutely right. We are truly passionate about the data protection and compliance space here at ServiceNow. And the next few minutes, we are going to talk about 3 major areas we've been investing in. Number 1, data residency and compliance. This is all about where your data is located and the rules that must be followed in any given industry or government vertical. Number 2, encryption. Implementing the latest technologies to give you added layers of data protection while still delivering high performance. And number 3, what we like to call here as KYOK, keep your own key. This is about key management and how we are putting control of your data residing in ServiceNow into your hands. Let's jump into the first topic, data residency and compliance. Mike, seems like every other country is coming up with new regulations every other day. Yeah. I don't know how our customers are keeping up with it. GDPR, FedRAMP, IRAP, and of course, IDW.
Whoa, hold on. Priya, what was that last one? IDW?
IDW, short for I don't wanna. As in, I don't have to worry about this compliance stuff, Mike, and I don't think our customers do either.
IDW, that's a good one, Priya. I'm going to try to slide that into our next audit.
Yeah, let me know how that goes. Anyway, what are we doing in this space for our customers, Mike?
We understand the complexities of managing data across industries and across geographies. I mean, we do it every single day. And those complexities are growing at a rate that we've never seen before in our history. And our goal here is really simple. We want to take those complexities out of your world. So one way we do that is through our continual investment in data centers around the world. Last year, we opened up our Germany data center pair. In the next few months, we'll open up our Japan data centers. And later this year, we'll open up our next generation federal data centers here in the United States. But data residency is only one piece of the equation. So we're being equally aggressive in attaining the compliance certifications and attestations that make the most impacts to you. Currently, we're working on FedRAMP High, DoD IL4 for the US federal industry, High Trust for the US healthcare industry, and SOC 2 plus Privacy Principle to address global privacy concerns. Good try.
Obtaining compliance certification is no easy task, and the location of your data does matter. But what we've heard from so many of you is that no matter where this data resides, encrypting it is what's becoming incredibly important. Encrypting your data ensures that even if that data were to fall in the wrong hands, it's useless. To meet this ask, ServiceNow released the database encryption product. With this paid offering, you can encrypt your entire database. And the best part is, you don't need to change your application to handle the encrypted data. There is no impact to functionality or application logic. And database encryption can also be used with other encryption solutions to give you even more granular and complex encryption capabilities. This product is out today, and from everything we're hearing from our customers, this is exactly what you've been waiting for.
That's right, Priya. But it is 2019, and most providers offer encryption solutions. But the key element of each of these solutions remains the same. That's the encryption key. And the truth remains that many providers, including ServiceNow, still own and manage the encryption key. But here at ServiceNow, that's about to change. In our New York release, we give you the ability to create and revoke the encryption key. This gives you complete control, allowing you to shut down access to your data at any time. But don't worry, that data is going to remain safe with us, encrypted and unreadable until you choose to share the key again. And in our Orlando release, we give you complete ownership and lifecycle management of the encryption key. This includes key generation, rotation, archiving, and key destruction. This is a major step forward in the area of data protection across the enterprise cloud, and we're excited to put the keys in your hands.
We are committed to providing you an exceptional enterprise cloud service experience. Our expanding global footprint to meet your residency needs, obtaining compliance certifications from around the world to meet many of your industry and government controls, encryption to protect your data, and key management to give you the ultimate control over your data. These are just few examples in how ServiceNow is investing in becoming global leaders in this space and serve our customers better.
You trust us as guardians of your data, and we take that responsibility very seriously. And listen, no one can do this alone, so we'll continue to be your partners across today's more regulated, security-conscious world. And when we get this right, your customers are going to trust you more, your enterprise is going to grow, and you're going to accelerate your digital transformation.
Mike, I can't really see all the faces in this audience, but I'm truly geeking out over this.
You know, as the guy who runs our cloud, I'm kind of geeking out too. Yeah.
I know our time's almost up, but can we take one more selfie before we leave? I promise this will go up on ServiceNow.
Yeah, we need to do that. And of course, it's not working. There we go. All right, but we should get all of our friends in as well.
Yeah, let's
all
do
right.
that.
All right, say cheese, everyone. And let's see if it goes up.
Oh,
wow.
Encrypted. Thank you.
And back to Pat. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think one of the things that I wanted to definitely congratulate Priya and Mike on is they got one of the drier topics to talk about, and I think they did a really great job bringing it up. And I did especially want to give some props to Priya. Not everyone can sell the Wicked Witch of the West, but she sold it. So congratulations. All right, so that was the third of our blockers. And we started out talking about making your apps more modern. Then we talked about helping you scale them. And then here we talked about helping you meet today's privacy requirements. That's sort of the theory of the platform. That's the new technology we've built. Do you want to pivot a little bit and talk about some of the application now? And talk about what customers are building with the platform, what kinds of apps they're building, and what set of problems they're solving. And to help do that, I want to bring up my friend, Josh Kahn, to talk you through that. So Josh, come on up.
I am so excited that the power of the Now platform is available for all of you. I've talked to a lot of customers that say they changed the trajectory of their career by building applications on the Now platform. And I've talked to others who are frustrated. And they were frustrated because they could see the power, but they couldn't figure out how to harness it, and they needed help. So today, we're going to make sure all of you know exactly how you can harness the power of the Now platform to drive transformation in your organization. Now, there's one piece of feedback I hear incredibly consistently from our customers, and that's that you have multiple platforms you'll build applications on. So the question I get asked is, what are the best types of applications to build on the Now platform? So we'll start today with a framework that talks about how you can drive transformation and productivity in your organization with applications on the Now platform. Then we're going to bring up two leaders who are already driving change in their organizations. We'll get some lessons learned, we'll hear about their successes, and we're going to come back around at the end of the segment to talk about where you can start, so you can go back to work on Monday and be putting points on the board by Friday. So the Now platform is purpose-built for digital workflows. Digital workflows replace unstructured process. You'll find unstructured process in places where you're doing a lot of email for approvals or getting a group to work on a project, where you're tracking status in a spreadsheet, or you have a bunch of shared mailboxes and document shares that you're using as a group. So those are unstructured processes. When you structure those, you can drive greater productivity. You can drive great experiences with digital workflows on the Now platform. And most importantly, you can actually measure them. And when you can measure them, you can optimize them and automate them over time. And you'll hear a little bit about that today from our guests. So there's a couple themes that come through when I hear the applications people are building on the platform. And this first is something I would call productivity apps. So productivity apps are really small, incredibly simple tasks, requests and approvals. These productivity apps are individually pretty minimal business value. But when you start to build more and more of them in one place, that value adds up. And it becomes a lot of value and transformational as you stack them on one platform. More importantly, these kinds of applications are a source of quick wins. They often start as extensions of our out-of-the-box applications. So a great example here in the employee space is an application I've seen a number of times, a visitor registration system. People are coming into your office, they enter their name, they enter their company information, and they sign an NDA. It goes into a database. Pretty simple task, pretty simple process. Another type is vacation approvals. Hey boss, I'd like to take a couple weeks off in June. I'm going away with the family. Is that okay? Sure is. Gets entered into the system and saved there. So extending the out-of-the-box apps is how it starts. But pretty soon people use that and they're like, hey, I've got like 5 of these in my department. Can you build some apps for me? And then someone else gets them and says, I've got 10 of these in my department. And these productivity apps grow and grow and grow. And you find that you're starting to build them across the enterprise. Now, why do people build these particular applications on the platform? The short answer is speed and simplicity. A lot of the speed and simplicity comes from the no-code development tools that we have. I've talked to one customer that built a center of excellence where they have analysts who actually don't write code. The most technical among them can write a little script, but no code at all. Those analysts sit down with business users, and in the course of 1 hour, they've dragged and dropped a form together, built a simple approval in a database, and they've got it pushed to production in 1 hour, a productivity application. That's what we're talking about in terms of speed and simplicity. Most of these applications are built by analysts, not people writing a lot of code. The second thing is economies of scale. Now, if you looked at that list of applications, you'd say, hey, I'm probably not going to buy a platform just for that app. But when you start to stack more and more and more of them on there, you get a tremendous amount of business value out of it. And it's easier to build them. You can build them in the course of an hour because it's already set up. You have the ACLs, you have the user groups, you have everything you already need. All the users know where to go to make requests. All the approvers who approve a lot of different things have one place to make approvals. So those are the economies of scale that occur when you build a lot of these productivity apps on one platform. And then lastly, and you'll hear this very clearly today, and I hear it with almost every customer I talk to, the ability to measure the process once it's digitized and use predictive analytics to understand how to continually optimize that process over time, get more and more business value over time. So that's a quick run through of productivity apps, very simple, quick apps. Now, there's another category which I would call transformation apps. And these transformation apps have a lot more business logic, and they tend to focus on a core business process. I've talked to customers who've generated tens of millions of dollars in business value from a single app, and even hundreds of millions from one app. So these apps in and of themselves have a tremendous impact on the business. Now, they often start very much the same way that the other apps do, as extension of our out-of-the-box applications. A great example here is in the customer space, where several customers using our customer service management application have built warranty claims processes. So warranty claims processes has a lot of business logic, and it has a lot of data that it has to pull from multiple systems. You have to understand the customer's entitlement, so you have to get a bunch of data from the customer system. You actually have to understand whether they maintained the asset in conjunction with the terms of the warranty, so you have to pull information about the asset itself. A lot of the customers that I've talked to that have built this say there's anywhere from 5 to 15 different systems they're pushing and pulling data from. And the logic for whether it's a valid warranty claim or not is complex business logic that's around the core business, has a significant impact. So that's one extension example of a transformation application, but a lot of these are built by our partners. We have a partner, Deloitte, that we made an announcement with earlier this week. They've built an application to transform patient communications in a hospital. So the way it used to work for nurses is patient clicks a call button, and the buttons are dinging in the rooms, and the nurses don't really have any context on what's going on. Sometimes the person's soup is cold. Sometimes the person is having pain in their toe. Sometimes they've fallen and they aren't able to get up. Very different level of urgency to a nurse, but they had no context. So Deloitte built an application called Deloitte Assist, integrated with Alexa and ServiceNow. So using the patient's voice, they can say something like, Alexa, tell the nurse I'm cold. Goes off to Amazon to do the speech to text. The text comes into ServiceNow and gets routed to the nurse's station. The nurse can say, oop, we're not going to deal with that one, we're going to send it to the orderlies. Saves the nurses a lot of time. Patient can say, Alexa, tell the nurse I've fallen. That goes to the nurses with a high alert, high level of priority, and somebody can get in there almost instantaneously. I was talking to the creators of the application. They said in one of their tests, they had a person in there within 15 seconds of someone falling. And if you're in a hospital, patients in the hospital falling is one of the biggest risks you have. So you want to talk about transforming a business process, a core business process. That's a phenomenal example, and it's a very vertical one, but it's extensible across other things. And every customer I've talked to at the show that started to think about these kinds of applications has very quickly said, oh, we've got this process that's core to our business that's unstructured, and this one that's core to our business that's unstructured. So tremendous amount of opportunity in this realm. Why do people build these? Speed and power. Speed is always important, but here it's about power. You know, we talked about the business logic, the workflows. We have a workflow engine that's together. A lot of customers have said, hey, that used to be 2 different systems. It was hard for me to stitch that together. I love the fact that you have one platform for both, and that the tooling makes it easy to build the 2 of them together. So that's a critical factor, is the core workflow and integration capabilities. The second is low and pro code together. I've heard from many, many customers it's getting harder and harder to hire developers. They say, hey, sometimes we're hiring developers, we're competing with you and Amazon and Google and Facebook. It's hard to bring those people in. So they want to bring less skilled developers in, people who script rather than write core code. They're easier to find and they're easier to train. But they want them to work together. So creating scale on this platform is easier for them because they can have low coders do low code jobs and pro coders do pro code jobs. And then lastly is this notion of object extension. So we have a lot of really core objects in our platform, tasks, incidents, cases. You're able to extend those. And when you extend it, you get more than the data model. You get the business rules, you get the forms, you get the lists. You get a lot of things around that that'll get you 80% of the way to an application. Several of our retail customers have built applications to manage customer incidents in their stores using this. They extend the incident because it has a lot of the same properties as an ITSM incident. It's got a categorization, a severity, a priority, escalations. So by extending that, they get 80% of the way there, and they can very quickly get the rest of the way there. So we did a developer survey to not only understand the kind of applications, but where they were built. And what we found is they build them first and foremost, you build them first and foremost in the most common places, where we have out-of-the-box apps. But these applications are really being built across the entire enterprise. So that's the framework for productivity applications and transformation applications. So now we're going to take a minute to listen to some of our customers who are leading their organizations through a transformation. So please join me in welcoming, from the US Department of State, David Record. Hey, David.
Hey,
How are
Josh. Good morning. Happy to be
Morning.
here.
Thanks for being here. All right, so the State Department, you have a big initiative around improving the employee experience. Can you tell everyone about what that's all about and what you're focused on?
Yeah, so the State Department, our role in the Bureau of Administration is really to provide administrative support for all of our diplomats in the field, all of our embassies and the citizens, like passports and visas, and really be the support for the government.
Awesome. A lot of paper-based process in the government historically, and you're kind of attacking that, is that right?
Yeah, so the State Department is now about to achieve its 230th anniversary, which makes us one of the oldest federal agencies within the US government.
Amazing. All right, so you built a solution called My Data that people can see here behind them. So tell us a little about My Data and what it does.
So one of the things we really wanted to do as we started our digital transformation journey is really to do a bit of one-stop shopping for all of our employees. Really break down some of these application silos, data silos, and have our employees go to one place to get their work done.
And I think you were one of the ones who really talked about economies of scale. It's like, hey, one place, it becomes simple and you get more value out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to make sure that they can come in and do a leave slip, or that they can come in and do any kind of administrative actions, and really get the same experience with very little training for our end users.
Yeah. All right, so let's dig into one of these applications. So restored annual leave. Tell everybody what that's all about.
Yeah, so we had a partial government shutdown earlier this year, and it just happened to be around the time when a lot of employees like to take leave, and they lose that leave. So we have a process in the government to get leave back to those employees. And up until this point, it was all done through memos. So you would have a memo, you get your supervisor to sign off on it, you would fax it or email it to your executive office, HR would look at it, and if there's anything wrong, it would go through that whole cycle again. So we really wanted to sort of say, all these people are coming back from being on furlough, what can we do to make their lives easier?
So, and I think you said in 3 weeks, you were able to get this thing out to thousands of users, right?
Yeah, so we did the development, we did the user acceptance testing, and we did the deployment within 3 weeks.
Pretty awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. And vacation's important to people, so I'm sure they were delighted.
Absolutely, right. So as they came back, we wanted to make sure that they could just jump right into it with some instruction, but no training, and have a very easy experience to get the request completed.
Awesome. So this is the form you all built, and you can kind of see the process in here. Can you walk us through a little bit of this?
Yeah, so we wanted to pull in the information we had about the employee, right? We don't want them to rekey all the information in, have a clear understanding of how it moves through the process, and make it very transparent where it is at any given time.
Awesome. All right, so somebody goes through, they get through this. You got some stuff coming next. You've built this version of it, but you have some ideas where to take it next. Can you share with folks what comes next?
Yeah, so absolutely. So we're really excited when Madrid will get FedRAMP approved, then we can use the native mobile app. And one of our real exciting possibilities is to start to be predictive. Like if you have leave and the period opens up, informing the employee to say, hey, go ahead and submit your leave request, the restored leave request now, and not have to be waiting on them to know it's time to do it.
Awesome. Great. So when we talked, you really emphasized the importance of digitizing this and how you look at the metrics and the results you've seen. So we've got your report dashboard here, but talk us through a little bit of the value you've seen and how that's worked.
Yeah, so one of our big keys is we had no transparency into the memo process, right? So we really want to be able to sort of say, how are we doing? Are we doing better? Are we doing worse? What improvements can we make for next year to have a much better experience for our users? And really sort of start tracking our performance.
Yep, awesome. So this is an example of a great productivity app, right? You build it fast, and you get it out there, and I think you've said, hey, we got some credibility. Now we're starting to move on and build some other, what we call transformation apps. Is that right?
Yeah, so absolutely. So we like to build these agile, quick productivity apps to really get the businesses to buy into saying, I can see my X process now coming into the platform, as opposed to sort of, seeing is believing and using is believing. So it really helps with that buy-in.
Yeah. All right. So last question. And I get this one a lot too, and a lot of people are talking about it, especially this week, this notion of, hey, out of the box versus innovating on the platform. Hey, is it okay to build these apps on the platform if I'm trying to stay out of the box? And you guys have found a way to do both.
Yeah, so we actually started our ServiceNow journey in Fuji, And one of the key parts is really leveraging the scoped applications, containerizing the information, because in the government, we want to make sure all of the data stays where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And the platform really, by leveraging that, means you can have really quick upgrade cycles. So we've moved through all the major versions, and on average, it takes only 2 to 3 weeks to go from dev all the way through production with a new version.
Awesome. That is exciting. All right, thank you very much, David.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
David Record from the Department of State. Thank you. All right, great example of productivity applications. Incredibly fast deployment. They got real results with these productivity apps and a great experience that they're delivering to their employees with productivity apps. And now they're getting that credibility and they're starting to move on to some really exciting transformation apps. David and the team can monitor this process and continually improve it through their visibility in the dashboards. And they're innovating safely because they're doing it in scopes. So they could get a couple of week upgrade cycle. So these two things can coexist. I think that was a great example of how they do. So we set a framework that said productivity apps and transformation apps. Now we get to hear about a transformation app. I'm very excited to welcome to the stage from OptumRx, Sandy Tartle. All right. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for coming. All right, Sandy. So tell us a little bit about OptumRx. A lot of people may not have heard of it. I know we're a customer, but share with us.
Well, OptumRx is a pharmacy care services organization, and as you can see, we actually serve 65 million members. We have over 98% client retention rate, 1.3 billion scripts processed in a year, 91 billion in total spend in pharmacy, and then we have over 15,000 employees. So I'm not going to lie, pharmacy and adjudicating claims is very complex.
Cool. And I think you might have brought a video that we can...
I do. I have a video to show you.
All right.
In golf, success depends on being able to see how it all comes together.
540 yards to the front of the green hill. Par 5, medium trajectory. Pin back right. Northeast perennial ryegrass, 2.5 miles per hour. Tight dew point, light grip pressure.
The same is true for healthcare. At Optum, we bring the people and pieces together to make sure healthcare works for all of us.
Hold it up into the wind. Breathe.
Optum, how well gets done.
So we have to be pretty accurate when we're adjudicating claims. And when we have a member standing at the pharmacy and we're adjudicating in milliseconds, you can imagine all the back-end processes that need to happen to ensure that happens and happens flawlessly. That's where we use you.
Yeah, it's great. And you and your team have actually built, you're processing these 91 billion in prescriptions on the platform. So tell us about your role and your team.
Sure, absolutely. So I have accountability for a reliability team, which is a root cause analysis and preventative measure team. I also have an incident and outage management team where we work very closely with our ITSM partners. And then I also am the application owner for our RX ServiceNow application, which we call it RX ServiceNow.
Yeah.
And that team, actually, the IT and our product teams are together under one roof to be able to support our critical business application we've built.
Fantastic. So tell us a little about the opportunity you saw, the kind of before picture.
Yeah, so we actually, what I'm going to share with you today is about an event. So we have within my team a motto, never let a good crisis go to waste. So we actually had an event that impacted our clients, our members, and our providers. And in taking a look at the time when I had the financial analysis team, we really looked at root cause. And we looked at something that, a process that went end to end. That process is very complex. And so unpacking that, what happened was we found that we had a very unstructured process. So we were actually talking to each other via phone, email, carrier pigeon, many different ways, and we found that it wasn't very successful. So we really wanted to pull that together, and we actually had the director of product management, Vanessa Schmidt. She actually came out, and she pulled a team together of 50 stakeholders, and they represented over 20 different areas that were stakeholders in this process. And really being able to sit them down on a red and yellow leather couch and have them do some human-centered design, really helped with the buy-in from those teams and really made this process very successful. And we really couldn't have done it without our ServiceNow partners as well.
Fantastic. So give us a little overview of the solution now and how it works. You know, we took unstructured and went digital. So what's your digital workflow?
So the digital was amazing for us. So again, a lot of hard work that went into this. What we were actually able to build then was a system in actually interacting and integrating with different internal and external applications. We were able to build a process that allowed our task to progressively move through the process, opening and closing automatically, eliminating a lot of the back and forth, inefficiencies, and really being able to execute on our commitment to flawless execution for our members and clients and our providers.
Great. So very complex process.
Very complex.
Yours is so complex. If we can handle yours, I hope we can handle anything. So you had impact on the business. You and your team drove a tremendous amount of impact.
We did. Yeah, what we actually did was, so as part of the process, too, we built some custom fields. We actually had something that was called a targeted completion date. That was critical for us. Within the organization, we're very set on commitments and promises. And so being able to make sure that our teams that are part of this process were executing flawlessly, we have certain financial guarantees, penalties, service level agreements that we need to hit. And so this process actually allowed us to ensure that we were meeting all of those needs. And so another part of this process was to bring the visibility of the process to the application, to executives like myself and to queue managers, so that on a daily basis, we're actually visually being able to represent and see the work, find out where the work is happening, find out if we're adhering to our targeted completion dates and our expectations. And if we're not, we have an opportunity to mitigate and intervene.
Great. And I think this is kind of your favorite thing, your visibility portal.
Right.
We simplified it a little bit because we didn't want to put proprietary information up here. But tell people how this is important to you.
Definitely. So this is a very simplistic rendition. What I actually have on my dashboard is a lot more screens that actually depict various parts of this process. But for us, actually, each one of these colors represents one of those 20 teams that I was talking about earlier. And what's important is that you can see volume. So based upon the time of year, when we do this process, we could have thousands of tasks in queue or in flight throughout this process. So being able to have a visual dashboard that represents where we are and where we're at really is important to me and to the managers and really to all of the stakeholders that are involved in this process.
So you saw a problem, you built a digital workflow, you've got your instrumentation. What comes next?
So, you know, we're really looking at a lot of different things within our platform. We want to continue to do more integrations. We want to do more of these enterprise automations around process. And really being able to enhance our service portal to our members, to our clients, using the platform. So.
Cool. Anything you've seen this week that's got you particularly excited?
Yeah, I'm really excited. So what Pat showed at the beginning, right, wanting data, when he wants it, when he needs it, that's what I want. And so I want to wake up in the morning and I want to be able to ask Siri, hey, Siri, can you give me that adherence to targeted completion date report? That would be cool for me. And it visually represents right there on my phone.
I see that the specialty network operations team has 15 tasks past due. Would you like me to get the network operations manager on the phone?
Yes, please.
All right, looks like we got it working.
Thank
you got to
you.
take the
All
call.
right, great.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Sandy Tartle from OptumRx. Thank you.
Thanks.
So great example of a transformation application. Some of the core tenets of this, the digital workflow, the ability to do the business rules and the routing, give people a view of the tasks they need to act on right away. Also, the ability to get the visibility to the metrics so that Sandy and her team know when the process is getting off the rails and they're able to intervene and make sure that they deliver on their customer commitments. So we heard from 2 leaders that are already transforming their organizations. But the reality is there's thousands of customers already building applications on the platform. And we have 100 million users of custom apps. And it's not just our customers who are innovating, it's our partners who are innovating. And you can go to the ServiceNow store and find hundreds of partners building applications that you can download and use in your instance today. So the next question and the last question we need to answer is where to start. And where to start depends on where you are. So if you're new to ServiceNow and you're new to this journey, start by building some productivity applications. Extend your out-of-the-box ServiceNow applications. What'll happen is people will come to you and they'll say, hey, I have a bunch of applications just like that. Can you build mine? And slowly but surely, you'll build credibility, and more applications will start coming in. And what you want to look for is these transformation opportunities. At some point, a transformation opportunity is going to come in, and you'll have a chance to build a transformation application to change your company's business. If you're already doing all of that, then join Sandy and David and engage with your peers and help them drive transformation at their organizations. So now you have a framework for thinking about the applications to build on the Now platform. You have lessons learned from some experts who are already doing this, and you know where to start. I can't wait to see what you'll build. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. So I wanted to help kind of close this out for everyone and give you a bit of a recap and maybe hopefully some next steps for you. And I started out by saying that we wanted to focus the platform this year on solving some blockers for you. We wanted to show you how to transform the kind of legacy apps that you've had to live with into the modern apps that your users want and that you want to take out to them. And we did show you that. That was the first thing we showed. Second, we wanted to show you how we're continuing to build the platform to scale with you as you bring in more and more data in, whether you're scaling up or scaling out or some combination of the two. That was the second thing we showed you. And the third thing we wanted to do was really talk to you about the enhancements we're making in data privacy, data security, and data sovereignty. You know, in today's world, that is even more important than it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's only going to be more so in the future, just the way the world is evolving. So those are the three things we wanted to solve for you. So in terms of next steps for you, if you kind of looked at the stuff here on stage and said, that is really cool, but way too little detail. Like, I need to deep dive. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to code this. I want to really get into the weeds here. We got CreatorCon for you. It's at the Venetian Ballroom. It's as soon as we're done here. It is an awesome show that we've got put together for you. It's a whole lot of content, really taking the next level of understanding here if you're really from the technical side of the house. So please take some time, go to CreatorCon. Once you've done all that, though, once you've consumed this information, it's not the world's most complicated set of asks. We want you to take this technology, take this platform, and build the modern apps that we've been talking about here and bring them to your users. Create these great experiences that we all want to bring to them so that we can kind of be the cool technologists again. I liked to be a cool technologist. I don't want to be a boring technologist. I don't think you do either. You can do that now. If you put all that together, you can transform your business. We really can change the way people work, and we can do it together. Thank you very much.